When you're being chased by zombies, it's going to be very important to know which direction you're headed. Thus, I'm going to try and find different ways of telling the directions north, south, east, west. First being this plant right here, Gopher Bane. Someone told me that this has leaves that grow north, south, east, west. There you go. 4 leaves growing in the 4 cardinal directions. Weird. One source says a good way to tell direction is if you have a crescent moon, the tips of the crescent will actually form a line. If you take that to the horizon, if you're in the northern hemisphere, that will be south. And the southern hemisphere, I guess it would be north. I guess this is something to do with the way the moon is on an axis rotating around the earth. And it's a pretty nice crescent moon right now, so let's try that. So to me it looks like this is going to connect and come right down in here in this bunch of trees here, which feels more like southwest to me. Alright, so that's lined up north, which means that south is over there. So it's definitely pointing pretty much directly southwest, actually. Alright, it's dawn, and there's a pretty sweet crescent moon rising in the eastern sky. So if I connect the tips and make the line go to the horizon, it looks like it's pointing like right about here to me. So let's see how that compares to our compass. Looks like again it's pointing southeast, not south. So reflections on this experiment are that a rising crescent moon probably points south-southeast, and a setting crescent moon probably points south-southwest. Supposedly you can tell direction just by having a stick in the sun. This is called the shadow tip method. So let's try that out. You're going to take some kind of marker and put it right at the tip of the shadow. And then, every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you're going to come out and put another marker. Now you can see that I've centered the shadow on my tile. So you can see all our dots here, and you can see that they're not in a straight line and that you basically have an arc here. So, since the sun is traveling from east to west, then the middle of that arc should be high noon and should be north. The shortest line to me looks like it's like right in here. So this should be our north-south axis. You can see here that it's pretty close to north. So now we know that this way is approximately north. Then if we draw a line perpendicular to that, this is more approximation, so it's going to get off even more. So this should be our east-west line. And you can see there that we are pretty much oriented east and west, which is pretty awesome. Additionally, unfortunately, these arcs, so that if you took any 2 points during the day, like say this point and this point, and drew a straight line, that's not going to be east and west. However, the longer you go through the day, the more that evens out. So if you took a reading directly in the morning when the sun was in the east, and directly in the evening when the sun sets in the west, you would have a east-west line. Obviously at sunrise and sunset I do not get sun because the mountains block it. However, let's see how close it is with my 2 earliest and latest readings. This should also approximately be an east-west line. It's close. So if you were just to come out for an hour and take 2 plots and then put your compass down, then you're going to end up with something that is more or less east-west. So there's one, here's another one, here's one, there's one. So it changes, but it is all approximately east-west, so you can get at your general bearings. The shadow tip method seems to work pretty well, especially going by the shortest distance, which obviously is around noon. So if it's the middle of the day and you stop for an hour and took a few readings, you'd be able to get your bearings fairly quickly. Obviously also what we've kind of made here is a sundial. So if you did have the sun from sunrise to sunset, you could lay this out And then you would know that the center is high noon, and then each end is basically around 6 a.m. or p.m. when the sun is rising and setting.
Along with plants that will naturally tell you north, south, east, west, most plants will actually grow towards the south, well, in the northern hemisphere. This is called phototropism, when plants grow towards the light, and light is predominantly in the south if you're in the north. So I thought a good example of this would be this sunflower that grew up towards the sun so much that it actually got so heavy it started falling over. There you go, my sunflower is growing southeast. It is worth noting that plants don't grow towards the south, they grow towards the light, which happens to be in the south. So my garden gets good morning sun, but it gets afternoon shade, and thus this plant is growing more towards the east. So that's something to take into consideration. Obviously, a historical way to tell directions is by using the stars. And so I'm going to show you how to find the North Star, which I didn't know how to do before Zap, and it's actually surprisingly easy. Unfortunately, you can't see any stars in this, so I'm going to do a little sketch here to try and depict what I'm seeing up here. First, find Ursa Minor, or the Big Dipper, which is one of the most noticeable constellations. So for those people who don't know, once you've found the Big Dipper, you're going to go the length of the end of the ladle 6 times. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this will be Polaris, the North Star. It's a common misconception that the North Star is the brightest star in the sky. It's one of the brightest stars in this area, but it's certainly not the brightest star in the sky. So another way to find this is, say, Polaris is here, and the Big Dipper is over here on the left. You can also look, and over on this side, you'll see Cassiopeia, which basically looks like a big W in the sky. So Cassiopeia is the crown of an Ethiopian queen who displeased someone and got flipped up in the skies. So the middle point on the crown points pretty much straight at Polaris. So you'll see Polaris sandwiched between these two constellations. Once you find Polaris, then you just head straight down to the horizon, wherever that may be, and that's north. Next, let's try and make a compass. I'm going to magnetize this needle with this chip clip magnet, and then I'm going to put it in the cork so it floats and then turn north-south. I feel like everyone's heard of this being done, but not too many people have actually tried it, including myself. Oh, it appears to be turning to the left. It appears to be rotating. Holy cow, it's picking up speed. Oh, it appears to be stopping. Now we'll see if it rotates back the other way. Oh, it is. It's going back the other way. So it over-rotated and now it's headed back to true north, or magnetic north. So here's where our needle compass came to a stop. And remember, we're oriented towards the needle, not the cork. It's pointing almost exactly the same way as the needle. Pretty sweet. The needle and the cork is pretty cool, but it's pretty generic. So I'm curious if you didn't have a needle or a cork, what other stuff you find laying around your house that you can make a compass out of. And right now, I'm looking at my speakers. This one hasn't been working for about 2 years. Well, 2 years before I turned off the electricity. And I'm pretty sure there's magnets in speakers. I have acquired the magnet. Next, obviously, I need something to magnetize. It needs to be ferrous and longer on one side than the other, and hopefully very thin so that I can get all those electrons to line up. Haven't used that bad dog in a while. So I just need to run this across here in one direction. This time, instead of using the cork, I'm going to try and use a leaf. Whoa, it's spinning. Look at that. Holy cow. Is it going to spin back like that? Look at that. Dead on north-south. This is friggin' awesome. I've made myself 2 magnetic pot holders. So cool.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. It's like totally like magic. It's so cool. Whoa. That's definitely a magnetized razor blade. Get off of there. Whoa, look at this. It's totally magnetized my Leatherman now too. Wow, weird.